I am 71 years old, and 14 months ago my daughter sat me down at my own kitchen table, slid her phone across to me and said, "Dad, just try it. What do you have to lose?" The app was called Our Time. It is a dating app specifically designed, they say, for people over 50. I looked at the phone, I looked at my daughter, and I thought about the 2 years since my divorce from Margaret. 2 quiet years. 2 years of relearning how to cook for one person. 2 years of waking up without an argument waiting for me downstairs. I thought, maybe she's right. Maybe I owe it to myself to try. That was the first mistake. I am going to tell you what happened over the next 6 months, and not the version I told my daughter, not the polished version where I say it just wasn't for me, the real version, the version with the receipts, the embarrassment, the slow grinding realization that these platforms are not built for men like us. They are built to harvest our loneliness and sell it back to us at $39.99 a month. If you are 65 or older, if you are divorced or widowed or simply alone, and someone in your life is pushing you toward these apps, I need you to watch this first. My name is not important. What matters is that I am you, retired. Living in a 3-bedroom house in Ohio that echoes a little too much these days. I spent 34 years as a high school history teacher. I coached baseball for 22 of those years. I know how to read people. I know how to spot a system that is rigged. It took me 6 months and a number I am embarrassed to say out loud to figure out that the system was completely rigged. Let me back up. The divorce from Margaret was finalized when I was 68. We had been married for 31 years. It was not a dramatic ending. No affairs, no explosions. It was more like a slow leak. 2 people who had grown into entirely different shapes trying to fit inside the same house. By the end, we were polite strangers sharing a refrigerator. When she left, I expected devastation. What I got instead was something quieter and more confusing. Relief. I felt relief. And then I felt guilty for feeling relief. And then I spent about 6 months sitting with both of those feelings until they finally settled into something I can only describe as peace. I fixed up the back porch. I started reading again. Really reading. The kind where you lose 2 hours without noticing. I drove out to my brother's farm in Kentucky for 10 days and helped him build a new fence. I slept 9 hours a night and woke up without a knot in my stomach. I was not happy in some loud celebratory way. I was simply okay, quietly okay. And for a man who had not felt okay in a very long time, that was more than enough. But the world does not let a man of a certain age be quietly okay. My daughter Sarah started in first. "Dad, you should meet people." Then my colleague from the school, Phil, told me about his brother who found a wonderful woman on one of these apps. Then Mrs. Patterson from my church, God bless her, pulled me aside after the Sunday service and said, "You know, there are websites now. For our age, it is perfectly respectable. When 4 people in your life independently tell you the same thing, you start to wonder if they are seeing something you're not. You start to look at your quiet evenings and think, is this peace? Or is this just fear wearing the mask of peace?" So I said yes to my daughter. I let her set up the profile. The profile took 2 hours. Sarah took a photo of me on the back porch. I am wearing a blue flannel shirt. I look, in her words, distinguished. In my words, I look like a man who is deeply uncomfortable having his picture taken for the internet. She wrote the bio. It said things like enjoys the outdoors and looking for genuine connection. I read it back and did not recognize myself at all. It sounded like a brochure for a retirement community. But we posted it, and we paid the $39.99 for the first month. The first week was interesting, I will admit that. There were notifications. Women had viewed my profile. A few had sent what the app calls smiles, little digital gestures that mean nothing but feel like something when you have not been noticed in 2 years. I matched with a woman named Carol from Columbus. She was 67, retired pharmacist. Her profile says she liked hiking and cooking Italian food. We exchanged messages for 3 days. She seemed warm. She asked good questions. I started looking forward to the little notification sound. Then she asked if I wanted to move the conversation to regular text. I said yes. We texted for 4 more days. Then I asked if she would like to meet for coffee. She never replied. Not a word. The conversation simply stopped, like a radio signal that fades out on a long drive. I checked the app. She was still active. She is still online. She had simply decided, without explanation, that I was not worth the courtesy of a response. I told myself this was normal. I had read articles about online dating. Ghosting, they call it. It happens to everyone. Move on. So I moved on. I matched with a woman named Diane, then Patricia, then a woman who called herself Sunshine66 and whose messages were enthusiastic but somehow said nothing at all. Every conversation had the same shape, a burst of interest, a few days of back and forth, then silence, or worse, an endless exchange of pleasantries that went nowhere for 3 weeks until one of us quietly stopped responding. By month 2, I had spent $79.98 and had 0 in-person meetings. By month 3, I upgraded to the premium tier because the app told me my profile would be shown to more people. That was $59.99. This is what they do not tell you. These apps are engineered, deliberately, carefully engineered to keep you subscribing. The free version shows you just enough to make you think success is one upgrade away. The algorithm is not trying to find you a partner. The algorithm is trying to keep you engaged. Engaged means subscribed. Subscribe means revenue. I am a history teacher. I know what it looks like when a system is designed to exploit a vulnerable population. In the 19th century, they sold patent medicine to sick people. Now they sell digital hope to lonely ones. Month 4 is when it started to affect me in ways I did not expect. I found myself checking the app first thing in the morning, before coffee, before the news. Rolling over in bed and picking up the phone to see if anyone had viewed my profile overnight. This is a habit that would have disgusted me if I had observed it in someone else. I started second-guessing my photos. Were they too old? Should I take a new one? I drove 40 minutes to get a haircut before updating my profile picture. I spent 45 minutes on a Saturday afternoon trying to rewrite a bio that would make a stranger want to have coffee with me. I was 70 years old and I was performing for an audience of algorithms. There was a woman named Beverly. Month 5. She was 68, lived in Dayton, taught elementary school for 30 years. We matched, where we talked on the app for a week. Then we talked on the phone, actually talked, voices which felt revolutionary by that point, for almost an hour. She was smart. She was funny in a dry, understated way that I appreciated. She mentioned her late husband, Gerald, and the way she said his name told me everything I needed to know about what kind of person she was. We agreed to meet at a diner in the middle. Saturday at 11 in the morning. I ironed the shirt. I arrived 8 minutes early. I sat in the booth and drank water and watched the door. She did not come. 20 minutes after 11, I got a text message. She was sorry. She had decided she was not ready. She hoped I understood. I sat in the diner for another 15 minutes. I drank my water. I left a tip for the waitress even though I had not ordered anything. I drove home. I did not feel angry. I felt something harder to name, something like foolish, something like I should have known better. The breaking point came in month 6. I had matched with a woman named Roberta. We had talked for 2 weeks. She seemed genuine. Her messages were thoughtful, not just pleasantries. We made plans for dinner, a real dinner, a Friday evening, a restaurant she had chosen in her neighborhood. I drove 45 minutes. I found the restaurant. I parked. I walked in and gave her name to the hostess. The hostess had no reservation under that name. I called, voicemail. I texted. No reply. I stood outside that restaurant in the November cold for 20 minutes before I accepted what was happening. I drove 45 minutes home, alone, in the dark. I want to be clear. I am not telling you this for sympathy. I am telling you this because I know there are men listening right now who have had the exact same experience and blamed themselves. Who thought, maybe my profile was wrong. Maybe I said something. Maybe I am simply not what anyone is looking for anymore. I want to look you in the eye and tell you that thought is a lie. The problem is not you. The problem is the environment. These platforms attract people who are not ready. People who are using the act of browsing as a substitute for the terrifying vulnerability of actually connecting. The app lets them feel the warmth of being seen without any of the risk of being known. And men like us, men who actually show up, who iron a shirt, who drive 45 minutes and tip the waitress even when we have nothing to eat. We pay the price for that. I deleted the app on a Sunday morning in December. Total spent over 6 months, $287.94. Total in-person meetings, 0. Total times I felt genuinely good about myself during the process. I would have to think very hard to come up with a number. I walked out to the back porch. It was cold. I could see my breath. I made a cup of coffee and I sat in the old wooden chair that had been out there since I bought the house, and I looked out at the yard and I waited to feel lonely. It did not come. What came instead was something I had been too distracted to notice for 6 months. The particular quiet of a Sunday morning. The way the light in December sits low and long across a brown lawn, on the sound of absolutely nothing demanding anything from me. I had been so busy chasing a connection, I thought I was supposed to want that I had abandoned the one I already had, the one with myself. Here is what I know now that I did not know before those 6 months. First, there is a difference between the fear of loneliness and the experience of loneliness. Most of us at this age are not actually lonely. We are afraid that we should be lonelier than we are. We have been told so many times that a man alone is a man in decline that we have started to believe it, even when our own daily experience tells us otherwise. Second, Your time at 70 is not the same as your time at 40. Every hour you give to something that does not fit you is an hour you cannot get back. I spent 6 months giving my mornings to an app, my self-respect to algorithms, and my Saturday afternoons to women who were not coming. That is time I will never have again. I want you to understand the weight of that. Third, these platforms are businesses. They are not counselors. They are not matchmakers. They are not your friend. They have no financial incentive for you to find love, because love would mean you delete the app. Their financial incentive is for you to almost find love, perpetually at $39.99 a month. And fourth, and this is the one I want you to carry with you, there is nothing wrong with a life that is complete without a partner. I want to say that again because I know how much noise there is trying to drown it out. There is nothing wrong with a life that is complete without a partner. If someone walks into your life naturally, at church, at the hardware store, through a friend who actually knows you both, and she fits without forcing, without cost, without you having to shrink yourself to make room for her chaos, then yes, that is a gift. Do not walk away from a gift, but do not go strip mining your peace to find it. Do not let an app make you feel like an aging product on a shelf with a declining value. Do not spend your Sunday mornings refreshing a screen waiting to be chosen. You have already been chosen by your own life, by the people who actually know you, by the quiet that is waiting on your back porch every single morning if you would just go sit in it. I am 71 years old. I wake up at 6 in the morning. I make coffee the same way I have made it for 20 years. I sit on the back porch and I read, or I think, or I do absolutely nothing at all. And on most mornings, not all mornings but most, I feel something that took me a long time to recognize as enough. Not thrilling. Not the version of retirement they put in the commercials. Just enough. And at 71, I have learned that enough is one of the most underrated words in the English language. If this reached you, if something I said tonight landed somewhere it needed to land, do me one small favor. Leave a comment, not for me. For the next man who finds this video at midnight, sitting alone, wondering if he is doing this whole thing wrong. Tell him he is not. That is all. Take care of yourself. Good night.